Hello, what's up guys? I'm Kyle from KGR, and today we are unboxing not one, not two, but three different Metal Sonic figures. I kind of wish I still had my 4-inch classic Metal Sonic still in the box so I could make it a 4-pack, but I unboxed that thing months ago. So, the triple pack it is. Now, I got this one from my buddy George from the UK, so shout out to George. This one, I can't remember. I can't remember if I got this one from Eric or Addy. I think I got it from Eric. And then this one I spent way too much money on eBay because George originally said he was going to get me one. And then said he couldn't get me one. And then after I bought it, then he said he was going to hook me up again. And I said, ah! So, we have all three now. And I guess all four if you want to count the classic. So we're going to compare this to a few other figures in the collection, and we're going to go in this order, and we're going to have some fun. So let's move these guys to the side over here. But let's take a look at Metal Sonic real quick. Now this is the regular Metal Sonic that you would get from the modern line. There is a special one that has a more metallic paint, and I was debating on getting that before I started collecting all these figures, but then it hit me that it wouldn't match any of the other ones I would have in the collection, so it would just look off. So I decided not to get it. But it also comes with a little Eggman bounce pad, like a little thing that like laughs at you when you hit it. And then on the back, we get a little look of him, 13 points for articulation, and it's funny how that's like the only pose for him. And then we see other ones in the collection, and apparently it's called the Trap Spring. That makes sense. Then we got a little bio for him. Metal Sonic was created to match and even surpass all of Sonic's abilities. His sinister glowing red eyes and his razor sharp quills and hands are proof of his dark intentions. Yeah, Metal Sonic is cool. But let me know in the comments, what was your first introduction to Metal Sonic? Because even though he was first introduced in Sonic CD, I didn't know about him until either the OVA or Sonic Adventure 2. I think it was Sonic Adventure 2. But let's open him up and get a closer look. Ooh, this one's really stuck on there. There we go. That's better. Now, as much as I love Metal Sonic, don't get me wrong, I wish the packaging was as good as... Oh my god, what is wrong with this figure? Oh god. Anyway, I wish the packaging was as good as what they did with the Jazwares pack they did back in the day, where it would have like the lab in there as well and it shows him in a little chamber. I miss that kind of packaging. Now, this is like basic stuff for the most part, like for the Jakks Pacific line, but I don't know, I miss what Jazwares did back in the day when you did like multi-character packs. Now here's a closer look at Metal Sonic. He feels fairly basic. The legs feel extremely loose, and the way he's posed, it looks like he was meant to be in a singular pose and not really meant to do much else. Judging by the way how his legs are like molded on there, the way his one shoulder sits higher than the other, or maybe it's just the way his head is tilted, because like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it has very much symmetry throughout the figure. Can he at least stand up by himself? I mean, I guess so, but like, there's something that seems a little bit off. Now, even though he doesn't have that metallic shine to him, with how, like, I don't want to say greasy, but he definitely has like a very like reflective finish. So for a $10 figure, it looks fine. However, I can't help but to compare it to what Jazwares did back in the day. Yeah, for a Metal Sonic, he looks fine. I kind of wish he would have had that metallic paint throughout the silver parts, even though it's just painted gray. Even the metallic special one only does it on the blue. It doesn't do it on the rest of the figure, so it's like, why? So I guess that furthers my point on why I went with the standard version instead of the special one. But yeah, I can't help but to compare it to the Jazwares equivalent. Now, even though this one is going to have more defining details, like that thicker stripe on his shoes, or the black lines within his intake for his jets. Now, as you can tell, mine did definitely go through a beating over the years. But I feel like, proportion-wise, I feel like it does a much better job at posing, at standing, and also having that first edition metallic paint. Like, it just overall looks so much better compared to what we got from what Jakks gave us. They even went out of the way and gave us silver metal paint rather than this gray, boring paint. I feel like if I didn't have the Jazwares one, I feel like I'd mostly be impressed and fine with this one, but the way his body stands and how loose his legs are, I mean, thankfully he can stand up on his own just fine. It comes across as a lesser product because of the fact that we have a figure that's smaller and older that has some better details than what this 4-inch one does. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to have him, and I think he looks like a great figure. But I wish he would also have a bicep swivel. Like, the fact that his arm can only extend out that way is like, why? Because when they later released the classic one, you can bend his arm upwards and then also rotate it. And that's something I feel like a modern Metal Sonic needs as well. But this came out far before this one did. I love classic Metal Sonic because I love his proportions. I love how well he matches with the Nendoroid as well, if you want to match it with that. Having metallic paint would be really cool, but this honestly looks fine. So that said, I think the modern regular Metal Sonic looks fine. I don't think he's bad, but it definitely shows that this is an early Jakks Pacific figure, and it would be nice to get a remake of him. Like, I would love to see a more modern take on what Jakks would do with a figure like this now. And I guess he does kind of have a bicep swivel, but it's like past the joint. So if I wanted to like have his arm go out like this, that wouldn't be possible. You can only bend up this way, but if it's down, then I can rotate it this way. It's an odd design, but I mean, it's Metal Sonic. I'm happy that I have him for sure. But this is definitely not the best Metal Sonic we've ever had. So we'll put these over here for now. And here's a closer look at the fake bounce pad. It actually clicks in. Oh, that's cute. As much as I want to nitpick on the Metal Sonic figure, their accessories sometimes are so cool. I didn't expect this to like go in at all. I thought this was just going to be like this, and that's it. And one of my things that I said over the years before I started collecting the Jakks Pacific figures is that collecting the Jakks figures over the years would have been such a cool thing just for all the accessories alone. Like if I was still a kid and I was still playing with my Sonic figures on the kitchen table or on the little island or anything like that and just playing with and having little adventures with them, having all of these accessories as a kid would have been so awesome. It would have just added to like making your kitchen a level, you know? I wish I had that as a kid. Instead, I had my imagination instead, and that's fine, I guess. But now that we're done checking out the regular Metal Sonic, let's take a look at Metal 3.0, because all this figure is just a simple repaint, at least on paper. Let's see if they did improve things over the years. I highly doubt they did. But he also does come with a little red ring. Now, not many characters come with red rings. I think Silver came with one as well. So, more collectibles, I guess. Cool. But then on the back, we see, this time we see him actually like moving and all that stuff, because they didn't do that with the regular Metal Sonic. And then 13 points for articulation and a brand new bio. And let's take a look at what it says. Identical to Metal Sonic, obviously, but with a fresh paint job, just like in the factory at Jakks Pacific. Metal Sonic 3.0 is one of the most powerful robots in the world. I can't remember where Metal Sonic 3.0 specifically came from. I can't remember if it was the Rival series or if it was like Rush or Rush Adventure. I know that he was in some other game that I hardly played. But getting a Metal Sonic 3.0, I didn't think we were actually going to get this. And I'm happy that we did because, you know, more characters, I guess. And honestly, he just looks cool. He looks so cool. Why is this so noisy and painful? There we go. Let's get the packaging out of the way, rearrange Metal, and let's get a closer look. Now here's a closer look at Metal 3.0. As you can tell, this literally is the exact same figure as the predecessor. It just has a new coat of paint. Articulation is exactly the same. I don't want to say it has a matte finish on it, but it does look really, really nice. I think this one's just me, but the stripe on his little boots compared to the regular Metal Sonic seems a little bit thinner. I'm pretty sure that design is intentional, but this looks so clean. The lines look very nice. There is a little bit of imperfections on the lining around his eyes, but for a $10 figure, that's kind of what I expect. I'm not going to fault that. We don't see any lines within the intake, like we did with regular Metal Sonic, but I don't know if it's supposed to be there or not because I didn't really research the character or really grew up with the games. I'm not very good at doing these videos. I apologize. But anyway, it looks fine. Like, he looks cool, for sure. If Metal Sonic were a Pokemon, and this is supposed to be his shiny, this is what I would want. This looks cool. Now comparing him to regular Metal Sonic, the eyes paint job look a little bit different, but like that's gonna vary from figure to figure anyway, so that's not gonna really matter. But yeah, like the shoulders and everything, like they all like are exactly the same. So like this is exactly what you would get out of the figure. Like there's not really much to expect other than just a new paint job. That said, it's a good looking paint job. And something I forgot to compare earlier, the bottom of the feet. I'm not sure if they're supposed to look like that because when I look at the Jazwares one, they're all black. And personally, I think the black looks so much cooler. So that Metal 3.0 has that black on the bottom, but again, I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. Again, these are very early figures, especially the first one, so I'm not sure if that was just a mistake or they just didn't care at the time, because if we compare it to, actually, hold on. If we compare it to today's standards with the Jakks Pacific line, like they got most of the details down in the soap shoes. Like this is, I'm actually very impressed with. Because for the most part, it's just a standard Sonic that they would just print out no problem and sell for relatively cheap. But having the extra details within the soap shoes, like it looks so good, and I'm happy that they made this. When I think of Metal Sonic and regular Sonic being rivals to each other, I don't really think of Sonic CD or anything like that. No, I think of them racing in Sonic Adventure 2 in the multiplayer. So I'm probably going to be comparing these two together for the most part. However, since this figure in particular has a hard time standing for whatever reason, by the way, I kind of want to buy another one, like just the standalone ones, just see if it has a higher production quality, because he's loosey-goosey. I do want to compare him to a regular Sonic, and they look so good next to each other. Like, look at them. That is them looking at each other, like, you know, like being rivals and all that jazz. I think this face is actually pretty appropriate for that. Yeah, then we got our little red star ring. This, it's what it is. It's what it does. It works. It has a little peg hole in there in case you want to get a little stand for it, which I feel like the stands only come with some of the 2.5-inch ones, but thankfully I do have a few stands just laying around just so I could use for this, so sweet. But overall, Metal 3.0, more or less the same, just looks pretty cool. So we're gonna put him over here, I guess, and there's a train outside. Alright guys, time for a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. I live pretty close to a railroad. I live next to a fire station, so that siren goes off. And I also live close to a clock tower that goes off every hour. So recording these videos can get loud and sometimes difficult. But I think that train's done. Now we can move on to our last figure we're going to talk about today. That is Neo Metal Sonic. Something that's way too expensive that I spent way too long just trying to find in the wild because I was patient. I was trying to find this guy. But eventually I got impatient because I have to make more videos eventually. So Metal 3.0 it is. Actually, no, this is Neo Metal Sonic. Whoops, I misspoke. But I love Neo Metal Sonic. Mainly not just because of the fact that he was in Sonic Heroes, but he also does make a return in the IDW comics fairly early. So if you haven't read those, they're so fun. I'm not very far in myself. I haven't even gotten to the Metal Virus arc yet, but I love these books. I don't have much time to read those books, but when I do make time to read them, they're so fun. So Neo Metal Sonic is more relevant than you think. Then on the back, we get to see other characters like a different classic Sonic, which I might get. Rouge, I went to make an unboxing video for, but then it didn't work out. The second print of Silver, where it comes with a little like checkpoint thing, as well as Neo himself. 14 points for articulation, and then we got a little bio in here with an electric wand, Neo Burrito, and an enhanced shape-shifting form of Metal Sonic, whose goal was to conquer the world. Which, I mean, yeah, that's what happens. Now, this thing being an $80 figure, you'd think I'd keep it in the box. Well, that didn't go according to plan. Let's try this again. There we go. It's like, please don't open me. I'm worth money. That's too bad. The packaging on this one is a little bit more interesting because it kind of does the Funko Pop approach where it kind of folds right here. Then you can just rip everything out. Never mind, his hands are tied down. Great. But yeah, I have been searching for this figure forever. Never once found this in the wild. But watch. I'm gonna unbox this figure. I'm gonna even upload this video. And I'm gonna find him now. But there's still one more. Well, why? There's a black one that goes around his belt. Why? Okay, one more time. There we go. That's better. Get that trash out of the way. And here is Neo Metal Sonic. Now this one gets a lot of controversy in the Jakks Pacific Sonic toy collecting community over the fact that his scaling seems really off compared to what we've gotten previously. And also, you know, just not having the metal paints or anything like that, which that's whatever. I'm just happy we have a Neo Metal Sonic personally, but having these fists and stuff like that, I kind of wish he would have had like open hands, like, yeah, I'm about to summon lightning. But no, instead we got fists, and that's whatever. However, even if I didn't collect the 4-inch Jakks Pacific figures, I still would have bought this figure by itself. I was actually after this guy before I started collecting these guys, because I wanted this to kind of go in with my Jazwares collection. Because Neo Metal Sonic is meant to be like much bigger and more menacing and other stuff like that. So if I compared it to the Jazwares figure, this actually looks like he is like growing and being very menacing and like just an overall bigger threat. Especially if I compare it to my regular Jazwares Sonic right here, like this looks like it would scale well when it comes to being a more devastating threat. But instead, we compare it to regular Metal Sonic, which the head looks like the structure just got smaller. And then regular Sonic looks like he's just ready to punch him in the face and just call it a day. Like, there's not really much of a good scale comparison between the two. I said in previous videos I don't really care about scaling all that much. But when it comes to scaling this with my Jazwares figures, I think he looks great. But scaling this with the regular, like, Jakks Pacific figures, it just doesn't really match all that well. So there have been some toy customizers like Tito to OG, E Scrubby, and I don't know, insert anybody else here. They have been doing some customs that kind of improve this figure very much. Whether it be giving him a much better like cloak looking thing, giving him a better paint job, giving him a much better looking head. Like, they do a decent job. Like, the articulation on this guy is also pretty good, but those elbows are very stiff. So, like, when I'm moving it, I'm, like, scared I'm going to break the thing. But after a little bit of wear and tear, it eventually does wear out. Overall, I like the figure. I think he's fine. But I also don't know where I put his little electric wand. I somehow lost that within the unboxing process, because it's not in the box anymore. Whoops. Oh, there it is. Having this little stick of lightning is also pretty cool, don't get me wrong. And I'll keep that on him, I guess, but I wish it would have been like an open hand, and it would have just pegged into his hand. That would have looked so much cooler. But it also would have looked cooler if he was bigger. But let's take that out of his hand and put his arm back down, and let's compare him to all of our other Metal Sonics. The scaling in all the Metal Sonic figures look pretty odd all next to each other. They don't really blend in all that well, so I'm a little disappointed in Jakks for that one, for not making a good scale when it comes to all their figures. However, this is the only Neo Metal Sonic figure we're ever going to have, I think. So, like, I'll take the W's that I can catch them, you know? But also, comparing them all to Eggman, well, Eggman just doesn't scale well with them all like, in general. But he especially doesn't really scale well next to Neo. That just looks silly. Now, even though these figures don't scale all that well next to each other, do I regret picking these up? Not at all. I'm still happy I got these guys. These guys are very cool. In fact, I'm very excited to rearrange my shelf to fit these guys on, because now that I do have every modern character now, but I just gotta, you know, unbox them and then like put them on the shelf and all that jazz. I'm very excited to see how the collection's gonna look all together. And I'm also very scared for Jakks to come out with more figures, because that shelf is already filling up very quickly. Now I don't know who I want to do next. I don't know if I want to do Silver or the super characters or anything like that. Maybe the super characters. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, we got more Sonic unboxings coming very shortly. Get excited for that. So, that's all I gotta say for this video. So if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. In the description is going to be my link tree to all my other social media. I would leave links to where you can buy these guys, but good luck. Because I can't find anything. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you guys to death. And I'll see you on the next one. So peace, peace.